In part 1, we reviewed dividing a decimal by a whole number, as in this question. The divisor is a whole number. However, part 2, we're looking at questions that have divisors that are not whole numbers, they are decimals. Let's look at dividing by decimals. In this case here, we've been dividing by a whole number. So the divisor is 4. What if our divisor looked like this? And in this case, the divisor is a decimal. It is 0.5. Now, we cannot divide by a decimal in this format. The divisor needs to be changed into a whole number. If we multiply 0.5 by 10, that would allow us to move this decimal over here. So let's rewrite this into another format. And I think you'd be familiar with this. 10 divided by 0.5. So 10 divided by 0.5 is really the same thing as this, just written in another way. Now we have the numerator and the denominator, and you know that whatever we do to one, we do to the other. So let's multiply both by 10. And you will see that that moves the decimal over. So 0.5 or decimal 5 times 10 is 5. And 10 times 10 is 100. And just a quick explanation here. I'll just show you that in case you're wondering. So if we went 0.5 times 10, 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 1 is 5. And we have one decimal point. So therefore we move it right there. And that becomes 5. So that's how we changed the format of the divisor into a whole number. Now that you've seen how we move the decimal from here to end up with a whole number, I've shown you how this happens and the thinking behind it, but you don't need to necessarily do this every time. This is to give you an understanding of why we move the decimal 1 point here and 1 point here. So now let's rewrite this question into this format. It's 5 into 100. So this now changed into this, and here's what we did. In fact, the shortcut that I was telling you about earlier, you can move the decimal 1 point here to make it into a whole number. Looks like that. And here we need to move the decimal from here to here. So then we end up with this extra 0 here. And that's how we end up with 100 divided by 5. Now going back over to this point here, you might say, well, there's no decimal here, but I'm not sure if you remember, but all whole numbers have decimals next to them. We just don't write them there. They are understood. So step 1 is now complete. You have placed the decimal, and we are ready to go on to step 2. And step 2 would be to rewrite the question, which we did right over here. Then we're ready to go on to step 3, which is to do the actual calculation. And I don't need to do that because you know what to do next. I suppose I can do it quickly. 1 divided by 5 doesn't go. It's not enough. So 10 divided by 5 will be 2. And 2 times 5 is 10. Bring down the 0. 0 divided by 5 is 0. And then 0 times 0.5 is 0. And no remainder. Therefore, the answer is, or the quotient is 20. Now it's time to do some practice. Here we have 3 questions. I'll start with this one. We have 2.8 divided by 0.4, and decimal 4 being the divisor has to be changed into a whole number before we can do the division. And in order to do that, we have to multiply this by 10 to move the decimal over one place. And as you know, whatever we do to this number, which is actually the denominator, because this can be written like this, as you know. So whatever we do to this, we do to this. Therefore, by multiplying each one by 10, the decimal gets to be moved one place over, just like that. We're ready to do step 2, which is rewrite the question. All right, so then that becomes 4, the divisor becomes 4, and this becomes 28. All right, let's go over to the next example. And in this example, you can see that the divisor now has 2 decimal places. So you're multiplying by 10 twice, actually. You will do exactly the same thing here, because whatever we do to the denominator, we do to the numerator. And this is what we will do. This goes down here. So multiplying this by 10 twice, go once, twice. Now we have the number 2, which divides into, okay, let's do that one. Multiply 1, 2, and this is actually a 0 there. So this goes down there, and we have 180. All right. Now, let's go to the next example. And here we have 1.2 going into 0.36. So let's do our decimal placement, or placing our decimal. We are going to multiply this by 10, moving the decimal over once. And here we will do exactly the same thing. So that is the point of this. And that is that whatever we do on this side, we're moving it once here, we're moving it once here. Moving it twice over here, we're moving the decimal twice over here as well. Here we moved it once, and here we will move it once. All right, let's just finish that off. So we have here, this becomes 12, and this becomes, you've got it, 3.6. So where are we with this? Yes, you have placed the decimal. So we've done step 1. And we have also rewritten the question, so we have done step 2. And that is the case with all 3. We are now ready to do step 3, which is to do the actual calculation to do the division. So to start with, and I'll do this fairly quickly because I know you know the division already, but here we go. 2 divided by 4 doesn't go, but 28 divided by 4 goes, you've got it, 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. Subtract. And there you have it. That answer is 7. Now let's do this next one. 2 divided into 1, or 1 divided by 2 doesn't go, but 18 divided by 2, yes, it goes 9 times. And 9 times 2 is 18. 18. Subtract 18 is 0, 0. bring down this 0, it goes here, and this 0 divided by 2 goes, yes, 0. If it's nothing to start with, we still have nothing. So we have 0 up here, and 0 times 2 is 0. Subtract, and there's your answer. It is 90. Now, let's go to the last example. And here we have 12 divided into 3.6. So 3.6 divided by 12. So to start with, we have 3 divided by 12. And it does not go, and we must put the answer in. It is a 0. And 0 times 12 is 0. Subtract 3. Okay, now you can see here we have come to the decimal. And this is where it's so important to line up your work. Because if you didn't line up your work, maybe your 0 would have been here. And of course, you'd have a wrong answer. So it is very important we line up our work, and then we keep going with this. We have 3 here, and now we're ready to bring down our 6. Bring down the 6, and it goes right over here. Now we have 36 divided by 12. How many times does 12 go into 36? If you weren't sure, you could do some calculations down here. You might take a guess at 2, which is 24. Or you might try 3 times 12. 24 isn't enough. 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 1 is 3. And yes, that is it. So it goes up there. Your answer is then this 3 will go there, which is 3, and this 36 goes here, like that, and we subtract, and we have no remainder, and the answer is 0.3. And now it's time for you to do some practice on your own. Here are 3 questions that you can do for homework.